USC brought in some of their heavy hitters for practice number 11 of spring camp. And on Thursday, it was the day for the commits to feel some love.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, you know you can download this podcast anywhere. Pick a platform, download it. It's free, and I'm going to appreciate your support. There's just 4 more spring practices left. Yeah, 4 more. USC has completed 11 of their 15. And once those 15 are completed, life gets real serious around USC's campus. It's pretty serious right now, but it gets real serious. Basically, spring camp turns into official visit, the official visit time of the year. And once those are over, you got the player-run practices, and then before you know it, fall camp knocking on your front door. So Thursday, USC had practice again. They opened up its doors, and they brought in some of the guys they want to lock up, and they brought in some of the guys that were already committed to kind of push the issue, get some of their friends to commit. USC didn't get any commitments by the time I'm recording this episode. Nevertheless, it was a day where you felt like, you know what, USC's making a move here. They got some big time prospects on campus, as well as their parents, and Lincoln Riley was showing the love. So let me tell you about who was around. Not just players. The modern day coaching staff was there, led by head coach Raul Lara. It was about a month ago on this show. I was talking about the relationship between USC, Mater Dei, Long Beach Poly. Those two high schools throughout history for a long time have been feeder schools for USC. Pipelines. Those two schools should be sending players to USC on an annual basis. Every single year, their best should be showing up at USC's front door saying, hey, I want to wear the Cardinal and gold. It was Chad Bowden in his first 30 days. And again, I talked about this about a month ago. One of his primary tasks when he took the job as USC's general manager was rebuilding those relationships, making California recruiting the top priority. USC has done that, and they've done it with a vengeance. He essentially said, quote, I wanted to help enhance that relationship between USC, important people within the city, the state, especially when it comes to recruiting. Mater Dei fits that role exactly. Chad Bowden's exact quote was this: we're going to do everything through the city. We're going to do everything through the state. That's going to be our primary focus. That was a key part of USC being on top. He said, when USC had that run that they had with Pete Carroll, everything went through the city. Everything went through the state. My plans are to bring that vision back. Well, you start doing that by bringing guys like Raul Lara. He's one of those important people you want on campus as much as possible. He understands that relationship between USC, Mater Dei, USC, Long Beach Poly, where he used to coach. He gets it. You know who else gets it? USC had their commitment from the defensive tackle from Mater Dei, TomTom. He was back. He was there with Raul Lara. It's really hard to believe if you think about it. It was less than 6 months ago. Go even less time than that. USC was literally an afterthought when it came to getting his commitment. Now you can't get him to leave campus. And that's a great problem to have. So again, it was literally a heavy hitter's day for practice. Not only did you have Raul Lara, the modern day coaching staff, TomTom Topui. How about this? You had Vlad Dyakonov, the offensive tackle from Folsom High School, one of USC's most recent commits. He was back on campus, and he showed up with Ryder Lyons, his quarterback at Folsom. Ryder Lyons was just recently up in Eugene, Oregon, but he found his way back to USC's campus, and he did that quickly, and he brought his parents with him. I talked about USC and Lincoln Riley showing the love. Well, Lincoln Riley was spotted giving both the Ryder parents big hugs, making sure they understood, we love you, we want you, and we want both of your kids playing here at USC. So USC already has Jonas Williams in the fold for the 2026 class when it comes to a quarterback, but Lincoln wants Ryder too. I mean, he wants him bad. I mean, in a sense, that's really your 2027 quarterback, because everyone anticipates Ryder to take his Mormon mission when he graduates. So again, you always want to make sure one of your top prospects, the guy you want, understands how much he's appreciated, and you got to pass that appreciation along to the parents as well. I brought up the heavy hitters. Well, Deshaun Rideau, the running back, was there. Brandon Lockhart was there for the 416th time since he committed to USC. USC is getting all the guys who are committed to show up as much as possible. They want those guys to start doing the recruiting as well. Start putting the pressure on. Hey, you know you want to play with us. Just let's get it over with. Jump on. Get in. Lock in. You also had, here's another guy. I mentioned the name yesterday on Locked on USC. He's a 2026 defensive edge. His name is Derek Coleman Brusa. He's from Washington. Actually, not only is he from Washington, he played at the same high school as Micah Benuelos and Sam Heward. So he was hooking up with some friends. And what's interesting about Coleman Brusa showing up, his family's on vacation right now. So they were taking time out of their family vacation to show that, hey, we're serious. We want to be here. We're going to take time away from the family to come hang out with the Trojan family. And then you had some 2027 kids on board as well. One in particular, you had Elijah Harmon from Inglewood, defensive tackle, defensive end. So USC, again, really focused, really emphasizing what California has to offer. 2026, 2027, to a lesser extent, not quite as loaded. That could change. But USC wants to make sure everybody from the state of California, and if you're in the class of 2026 or 2027, you're important. Show up on campus, and we'll make sure you know how important you are. So yeah, it was a big day on campus for practice. They'll be back at it again on Saturday, and then next week they close it out. That's it. Like I said, life gets real serious. But the visitors aren't going to stop, because once spring camp is over, once you turn the page and you're into May, yeah, the official visits start. And they get real hot and heavy towards the end of May, all the way through the month of June. Once June is over, you got a few weeks in July where things will kind of slow down, calm down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, end of July, boom, it's fall camp. And the season is upon us. So life moves fast. You think it's that far away. It's not. You're going to be here every day between now and then. I'm going to keep you updated with all the news and notes you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's the off season. I will be here at least 5 times a week, if not more. That's why you need to become a subscriber. It's free. You're watching on YouTube. You haven't done it yet. Can you continue to help the show grow? Click that red subscribe button. You're going to see this. It's called a thumbs up. Smash it. Pretend you're the Hulk. Both of those mean a lot to the show. And you're not going to want to miss any information. So click that bell notification, and that way you're locked on. All right. A couple more segments to go. In the next segment, we got some notes and quotes from Thursday's practice. And then we're going to close the show out with my Friday rant. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Who knew, right? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No consoles actually required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed. And as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows, it's gaming mode made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. You'll also get endless entertainment with 4K streaming. You can watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services. So if you have subscriptions to Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, any of those, I mean, who doesn't have one of those apps already? And for you gamers, you can play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? Cool. A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel. So if you're traveling with your kids, you can take this along and you can plug in your games wherever you're at. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and the Fire TV Cube, third generation. So before I get into a couple of the practice notes and quotes that took place on Thursday, I should let everybody know USC's backup kicker Tyler Robles, aka we like to call him the Karate Kid, he jumped into the transfer portal. If you've ever read any of my practice notes and quotes, observations report over there at wersc.com, it is a constant. Every practice, Tyler is consistently the first or one of the first players to hit the practice field every single time. But he wants a chance to kick, and I get it. He was a preferred walk-on. He had a couple of shots in 2023. Last year, he redshirted. In those couple of shots in 2023, I think he was 1 for 1 on his field goal attempts. He had a couple of PATs as well. He knew once USC brought in Caden Chittenden from UNLV, the writing was on the wall. And you also have Ryan Sayeri. He's in there as well. USC has plenty of special team kickers, punters. I do wish Tyler some good luck wherever he ends up. And like I said, whoever gets him, you're going to get somebody who has a good work ethic. You always want that, even from your kicker. And then I mentioned on the other day that Lorenzo Cowan, the defensive end from Columbus, Georgia, jumped into the transfer portal. Well, he didn't take long to find a home. And just took him a couple days. He's going to Kentucky. So it looks like USC and Kentucky finally completed that trade. USC brought in Keyshawn Silver from the transfer portal. And now you've got Lorenzo Cowan going to Kentucky. For what it's worth, it makes sense. Kentucky was actually the runner-up in the recruitment. Many thought that he was going to go there. USC stepped in and he said, you know what, let's give USC a chance. Didn't work out. USC kept recruiting. That defensive line room is stacked. And just like Tyler Robles saw the writing on the wall, Lorenzo Cowan still got a lot of years, still has many years of eligibility left. He's going to go find a place where he might see the field sooner, I guess. So good luck to him as well. He's at Kentucky now. So Keyshawn Silver, he's at USC. He actually spoke to the media for the first time this spring since he's arrived at USC. And he explained why he's a Trojan. He said defensive line coach Eric Henderson was the biggest factor in him deciding to come all the way out here to Southern California. And the main reason why is they're both Eric Henderson and Keyshawn Silver have similar backstories, and that really resonated with Keyshawn. what that's all about is they both lost their moms when they were young kids. So right away, Keyshawn has that trust factor with Coach Henderson, and Coach Henderson's developmental skills do their own talking. So Keyshawn's going to get somebody a mentor that he can trust, that he can talk to, that he can relate to. And he's also getting one of the best defensive line developers in the industry. It's win-win-win all the way around. One of the things that he's hoping Coach Henney can help him out with, because Keyshawn already considers himself a really good run stopper, he's looking to become a better pass rusher. So once he's completely healthy, 100%, which he's getting close because he was taking part in certain individual drills during practice. I don't think he's been cleared for contact yet, but each day he's getting closer. Get him ready for fall camp. That's when it's important. The other guy USC brought in from the transfer portal in December, Jaw Jarrett. The big thing about him was getting him into shape. One of the things that everybody was concerned about, and it's why he didn't see a lot of playing time at Georgia, was he had a problem, keeping his weight down. Well, after practice, Coach Riley talked about his conditioning since he's gotten to USC, and he's done a fantastic job. In fact, it's gotten to the point now where he's doing such a great job. He's listening to what Benny Wiley tells him to do. It's being recognized. And Coach Riley said, we're going to name a Stairmaster after him when everything's all said and done, for sure. Jarrett is embracing this opportunity as a fresh start and playing with a heightened energy level. So that's great news. Everyone understood Jamal Jarrett had those natural God-given abilities, big, strong. Well, now you just, he kind of had to refine some stuff, drop some bad weight, make that weight work for him. So that's what he's doing right now. And this kind of reminds me of a story. Some of you might remember John Drake. We just called him the Drake. He was an offensive lineman for USC back during the Pete Carroll era, 2005, I think, right around there. Anyways, John was an incredibly huge, large human being. USC brought him in from Long Beach City College, 6'5", well north of 350 pounds when he showed up. Well, they needed to get him in shape too. So John Drake told the story about how he loved cookies. And I don't know, I think it was just a fun anecdote, but he said, yeah, they would tie a cookie at the end of a stick and make me chase it when I was on the treadmill. Again, I don't think that literally happened, but that was the goal. Hey, drop some weight, you can have some cookies. John Drake became a fan favorite. He was that big, old, huge, massive right guard. He was a big reason why USC running backs had no problems finding holes to run through. It looks like the offensive line is starting to come together. I think they know who's going to be the starting five. If there was a game tomorrow, this would be your starting five. You're going to have Elijah Page at left tackle. Sounds like DJ Wingfield is locking in that left guard spot. You've got the general, Jayonray Reed at center, Alani Noah, of course, at right guard, Tobias Raymond at right tackle. So Coach Riley said, talked about how DJ is starting to settle in at the left guard spot, and it's the communication and the chemistry that he and Elijah Page are developing together, and that's really, really important. Something that Coach Riley wanted to. So the fact that Coach Riley brought that up, I think it was pretty significant. In fact, he said this as far as DJ. He's really impressive, really good player. We obviously thought enough of him to sign him, and he's probably a little bit better than I thought he was. I thought he was pretty good. Coach Riley also talked about how DJ approaches everything with a real professional manner, which makes you think immediately of Gavin Meyer, the defensive tackle they brought in from Wyoming last year. not the highest rated guy, but it was about his work ethic, just doing everything the right way, acting like a professional. So that's why, he's going to be that plug and play guy. They feel good that he can get the job done at left guard. We know he has tackle experience as well. So yeah, as I said, it sounds like the offensive line. It's starting to find its form, find its shape. If that ends up being the starting five, Page, Wingfield, Reed, Noah, Raymond, you've got Justin Ta'onu, who can be that sixth man, that swing guy. Also, I think the quarterback rotation is starting to get set up. Typically, when you watch what the media is allowed to watch during practice, when the quarterbacks and the wide receivers set up for their air passing drills, you have Jaden Mayava and some walk-ons on one side. You have Huson and Sam Heward on the other side with the other walk-on quarterbacks. Today, Jaden and Huson were in the same warm-up line. Sam Heward with the walk-ons on the other side. So it was Jaden and Huson, those two by themselves. Sam Heward with the walk-ons, with the other backups. I don't know how significant that is, if it means anything. What I will say is this, and I talked about it on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC. So if you missed it, go check it out when you're done with this episode. Coach Riley has options at quarterback. And he keeps bringing it up, how advantageous it's been for Huson to be with the program for as long as he has so far. Remember, he actually joined the team during bowl prep last year. And he's been with them throughout spring camp, picking up the playbook. Again, Jaden will be QB1 when USC hosts Missouri State to kick off the season. That doesn't mean that Huson isn't pressing. It doesn't mean he's not pushing Jaden to become better. Let's keep an eye on this. It looks like the rotation is set. You got QB1, QB2, Sam Heward coming in to be the emergency starter. Because again, he's not your typical third string quarterback. Sam was one of the more highly rated recruits coming out of when he jumped into college football. Started at Washington, went to Utah, Cal Poly, now is at USC. And then one other player that got highlighted after practice, Coach Riley, he talked about Jaden Walker, the linebacker. You definitely feel like he's going to have a role this year. You're going to like Jaden, violent player. He plays the position like a linebacker. So we'll see what he's able to do. A lot of this stuff really starts to come together during PRPs when the players are running practice. That happens in the summer. That's when when the chemistry really comes together, the camaraderie, the accountability, where the players are holding each other accountable for making sure everybody better be there. If you don't show up to these player-run practices, everybody's going to know, including the coaching staff. All right, one more segment to go. My Friday rant. We've got a couple of things to talk about, especially college players noticing that NIL, it's good, but at the same time, it's bad. Before I get to the college players calling each other out, pointing fingers at guys who are more I and me than team, the NCAA, they're past a new rule. You can call it the Lane Kiffin rule. They don't want people faking injuries anymore. And this is fine. It was getting out of control. You saw the crap that Dan Lanning in Oregon was pulling, purposely putting a 12th man on the field against Ohio State. Look, coaches are always looking for loopholes, ways to give themselves an advantage. Purposely playing a 12th man to take time off the clock. Yeah, that's kind of whatever. What they say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. You got to do that. You don't have a lot of confidence in your team. This rule, though, we'll call it the Lane Kiffin rule. It's because it was so blatant. You can't have a guy faking an injury with 5 seconds left on the play clock. You can't have a guy on your team fall to the ground grabbing his hamstring, and he was just standing there. So, ow, ow, ow. It was a way of getting an extra timeout to kind of reset. Oh, yeah, you didn't like what you see on the other side of the ball. You can't do that anymore. So the NCAA said, we're going to, if basically under the new rule, if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If the team does not have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. The injury timeout proposal was made by the NCAA Football Rules Committee after many in the college football community raised concerns about strategies, in which players fake an injury to stop the opposition's momentum or to avoid using an allotted timeout. I'm all for this. You've heard me lament the way Coach Riley doesn't use his clock management isn't his best. Okay. There was way too many times last year where he would substitute on offense when there's like 15 seconds left on the play clock. Well, when you substitute, now the defense has to have a chance to substitute. And all of a sudden now the play clock is down to 3, 2, 1, and you're trying to get the play off. Well, this is kind of a different version of it where coaches are manipulating the clock to save a timeout, do whatever they need to do. I'm fine with this rule. I really am. I'm glad they're doing it. So you know how I feel about NIL. The players deserve to get paid. It's not about name, image, and likeness anymore, though. These are signing bonuses. Well, I have no problem criticizing players. I try and keep it fair and balanced. It's never personal. I like to critique what I see from a player, whether it's on the field, off the field, poor decision making, whatever the case may be. It's never going to be personal, but I'm not going to be afraid to speak my mind. Kirk Herbstreit, he's noticing the same thing. You can't talk about the players in a negative light because all of a sudden you're the bad guy. When did that happen? Just because we don't agree with everything about NIL and how things are going, or the way, how players are approaching things, that doesn't mean we're not allowed to have an opinion about it. We get it. Doesn't, as Kirk Herbstreit said, it doesn't make us old heads. We understand that the game has changed. That doesn't mean you can't criticize the way the game has changed and hopefully get things dialed back a little bit. Because anytime you start talking about it, again, you're labeled as you're in the minority. You should just shut your mouth, let the players get what they want to get. Do you think Nico Iamaleava and his circle of advisors, his father, would do things the same way? You really think they would leave over $1 million on the table to try and prove a point? Of course not. Of course not. But you know what? It's not just me. It's not just Kirk Herbstreit. It's just not the media who's noticing that the players' attitudes have changed and not for the better. Players are starting to notice it as well. I found this to be really interesting. Jordan Seaton, he is a 5-star plus player. He was, when you're considered a 5-star plus, that means you're a 5-star recruit across all the different recruiting platforms, whether it's On3, Rivals, 247, ESPN. Everyone thinks you're a can't miss prospect. That was Jordan Seaton. He deserved whatever he was able to get from NIL. Everybody wanted him. There was a market for him. So he gets set a market price. One of his teammates at Colorado, his name was Cash Cleveland, ironically. He played center for the Buffaloes this past year. He was a walk-on. By the end of the year, he was starting. Guess where Cash Cleveland is now? In the transfer portal. His teammate, Jordan Seaton, the sports is crazy now. Can't even build a true brotherhood anymore. Too much I and too much me. We all heard you can't, there's no I in team. Well, the players are starting to recognize, man, how does a team develop and win that championship together? Kind of like Ohio State, what Notre Dame did, when all of a sudden you got guys who are just looking out for themselves. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. How a walk-on, and I think it's great that a walk-on has earned himself a starting job, but to jump into the transfer portal and say, hey, I got 3 years of eligibility left, pay me. How about a little gratitude to the team that helped develop you? So when you got your 5-star teammate calling you out, there's a problem. There's a problem with college football. Got to get it fixed. Hopefully they get some rules and guardrails put in place, because watching college football, the players just eating themselves alive, it's not good for the game. All right, that's it for this episode. I have rambled long enough. I'll be back with another 5 episodes next week. Hopefully you will be back. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.